Welcome to the Center Mid Philosopher. This episode is brought to you by Augustus Royale Fashion. Life's not black and white, it's gray, and gray is beautiful. Check out the brand below in the link. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this week we got Michael Lahoud with us, Sierra Leone, dual national American, former professional with Chivas USA, Philly Union, Wake Forest, Demon Deacon, and of course I loved seeing the Carolina Dynamo in my neck of the woods in Greensboro. What a small world. Actually had some former club players I played with that played for them as well, so that's great. So thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's amazing how serendipitous the world works, and especially in a game like soccer, how serendipitous things work. So just number one, thank you for having me. And number two, love the spread of jerseys in the background.
Oh, man, thank you. I've got a bit of a problem. My wife is about to make me live in the backyard, but at least they're sort of being put to good use. So I'm a huge jersey aficionado, and I love the kit Fridays you guys do on Morning Footy.
No, that's awesome. I remember being up in Connecticut, being up with CBS Sports, and when they told me that come up, but the most important thing you can pack isn't a blazer, isn't a nice shirt, it's a kit. And I was like, whoa, this is sick.
That's when you know you got a killer job.
Yeah.
Well, and so for the viewers and listeners as well, my dream come true show, CBS Golazo show, Paramount Plus, Morning Footy is essentially a Sports Center type show for soccer. And it's incredible. It covers everything all over the world. Certainly plenty of MLS, Women's World Cup, you name it. And Michael has been on quite a bit. So any viewers and listeners that hadn't checked that out, please do so. And please tell Jenny and Alexis he's hilarious. Charlie Davies, love him. Nico, Susanna, please tell them, hey, huge fans. But let's dive right in. How are you feeling about the Women's World Cup team so far?
Ooh. There will be drama. That's how I'm feeling. I think from the onset, one of the most difficult things is, yes, I love it being in new frontiers, new places, but being in America, the time difference is kicking my butt.
Oh, man.
But what the time difference is kicking my butt for, it's made up for in the drama, the unthinkable happening. Favorite after favorite, some of the iconic names, iconic teams, iconic players, they're out. And there's new sheriffs and new queens in town that are really becoming the flag bearers for the women's game.
Yep. What did you think of Carly Lloyd's comments?
I think that, number one, she's a broadcaster. She gets paid to have an opinion. So I think it's a bit harsh to go against her and say, hey, you can say we don't agree with your opinion, but she gets to have an opinion, just like the people who get to disagree with her get to have an opinion. I don't think she is wrong. I think that there's something not right with this U.S. women's team. Now, what that issue is, it may not be what she's pointing to, but there's something that when you see a team on a field, when you see a team with such high-powered stars, I think you see the generational shift between the old, the veteran, and the new. Mm-hmm. I think the U.S. women's team, they've always benefited from the veteran players being the leaders, but really paving the way for young stars to make a name for themselves, or new stars making way for themselves at the international level. And I think what Carly Lloyd said following that initial comment, I think her initial comment was based out of frustration. The expectation of, we expect more from this team. The U.S. women's team, I don't know if they've ever finished second in the group stages. Right. And now they're one post away from potentially not making it to the group stage or to the knockout round. there's definitely alarm bells ringing, and I hope that this is a wake-up call. I hope her comment becomes a wake-up call, because ultimately it's what happens within that camp. It's how they respond. If Carly Lloyd's comment becomes the focus and the focal point, that tells me everything I need to know about this team, that they are not going to go far.
Right.
That they are not the same team as some of the teams in the past. Now, if they use that as fuel to the fire, then once you get to the knockout round, this can be where your World Cup really kickstarts. I want to go back to the Men's World Cup in Qatar. Argentina were not the most convincing team in the group stages. We see this throughout World Cup games.
You took
it's
that
not
right
what
out
you
of my
do in
mouth.
the group stages. You get through, but once you get to the knockout round, you have to have a mentality shift. Go back 4 years ago, the women's team wasn't exactly lighting it up and wasn't exactly amongst some of the teams that were talking about the style of play. I think up until they got to that semifinal game and really the final, where the final was when they had their definitive performance, that was when you walked away saying, okay, this is a team, they're world champions. So for me, all is forgiven and all will be forgotten. Carly Lloyd's comment will be seen as an afterthought if they take care of business. Now, if they don't against Sweden, then, hey, Carly was on to something.
Yeah. You took that right out of my mouth. Argentina lost. You know, and it was like a tragedy, but who even remembers that anymore? You know, so you kind of get a chance to give it a go again. Oh, hey, you there?
Yep.
Right. Very cool.
Technical difficulties, but you're in the middle of saying something profound about Argentina.
No, I was just saying, yeah, it just happened with Argentina. They lost, and who even remembers that anymore? I was listening to a podcast with Brandy Chastain talking about how, if anything, it just shows how far the rest of the world has come in their talent, and that's maybe something to be celebrated a little bit. But also, you know, tactically speaking, I would say that, you know, from what I've watched, like, we're a little, I don't want to say clumsy, but maybe a little complacent and nonchalant in that final third. Like,
yeah.
I see a lot where we're getting there, and then that final pass into the top two or three is too they're too strong. They need to play to feet. They need to calm down, get it to Sophia Smith's feet. You know, get to Alex Morgan, let her, and then let them go. To me, you know, you touched on a key point. You know, Rapinoe, Rose, Lavelle are two of my all-time favorite players. I love Rose Lavelle, and her being out next game is a killer. Because to me, she's that attacking center mid that can play that final piece. And I just hope that isn't the. I just hope we're not looking back and being like, oh, that second yellow from Rose Lavelle, that was the dagger. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think it is, but I'm worried about that.
I'm intrigued in how they react, because I can tell you, when you're in that situation, and I've never been in the Women's World Cup. I haven't been in the World Cup, but I've been in World Cup qualifiers, international level games. When you have a star player and a key player, and a star player from 4 years ago that had a breakout World Cup, that was one of the best midfielders, one of the best attacking midfielders in the world, and has been for the last couple seasons. When you have that, and the expectations there for her to deliver again, and that's not met, and then she gets the yellows, the suspension comes, it opens the door for someone else to step in. And I think of a player like Ashley Sanchez. I look at what she's done in the NWSL, and yes, Rose Lavelle will be the starter. But now Vlatko has a decision to make. Does he play it safe, or does he go with Ashley Sanchez? You haven't played her yet, and the team is not responding. There's that missing link and that missing cog from midfield to attack. The U.S. women's national team, when they're at their best, yes, the Mia Hamms, the Abby Wambachs, your goal scorers. But what makes them lethal is goal-scoring midfielders, is having that person, that player who can really be that dynamic edge. Megan Rapinoe, last World Cup, yes, Alex Morgan doing her thing, Rose Lavelle, but Megan Rapinoe giving creativity from out wide, coming in, playing in the half spaces, being able to cross, shoot, dribble by people. That gives teams and then balances teams in ways that it becomes a headache. Because if now you put all your focus on that player in midfield, then the Alex Morgans, then the Sophia Smiths, then the Trinity Rodmans, who are creating half chances, but it's almost like they're trying so hard because there's so much disconnection from back to front. They're back to midfield to front. Now, Ashley Sanchez, what I like about her is it kind of reminds me a bit of that Megan Rapinoe style of play where she can play out wide if you need her to, but she can also play as that out and out number 10 and as a midfielder. Go back and watch the tape. That game where Sophia Smith balled out.
Yep.
Portland Thorns, best team in NWSL right now. Washington Spirit coming into town. It was the Sophia Smith, Ashley Sanchez show where they were going back and forth, neck and neck. And Sophia Smith won undoubted quality, just a star in the making and really a star on the rise. But that is the player and that is the position, that is the space I'm looking at. Also, at what point do you move Julie Ertz back into midfield? I think Andy Sullivan, she is steady. She is consistent. You know what you're going to get from her. But I think where the U.S. is getting broken down is teams are really, when they break on the counter, they're doing a good job of maintaining possession. What the Dutch did was as soon as they got the ball, they didn't just hoof it long. They were moving the team side to side. The U.S. women's national team send 4 or 5, sometimes 6 players in attack. It takes a while for those players to get back. And when teams move you from side to side and they're moving your defensive midfielder from side to side, your defensive midfielder needs to be mobile and cover a lot of ground. I think mobility is something that favors Julie Ertz a bit more. And I wonder if those two decisions, you have Alana Cook, who is a very good footballer, who is waiting in the wings, hasn't been playing center back. I think that why not put Alana Cook at center back with Nikki Germa, move Julie Ertz in midfield, and play Ashley Sanchez in that Roosevelt role and see what happens.
Man, I love it. That's killer insight, and I think you're right. They do need a little bit more stability through the middle, and I think it's time to get. I mean, we got to get someone in there that's going to make plays. It's awesome. That's awesome insight. Want to talk to you about Messi mania. I mean, how can we not? I mean, so I could talk for days and days on this, as could you, and as could everyone in the world. Let me just start with that first goal he had against Cruz Azul. Where would you put that on your Messi moments for you in your fandom of him?
It was a moment unlike any other. I liken it to it definitely will not reach the zenith of his biggest moment so far, which is above what he's done for Barcelona, delivering the World Cup, his World Cup final performance. And he's had plenty in different World Cups where you've seen snapshots. 2014 previously was the closest he got, and boy, did he get close.
Oh, man.
And now he's a world champion. He's done it all at the club level. But now he is playing for a legacy unlike any other. To truly be the GOAT, the greatest of all time, you have to leave a legacy that is untouched and is just, there's nothing you can say about it. That goal, that just kickstarts a conversation that puts him into a stratosphere of his own. It reminds me a bit of when David Beckham, I played against David Beckham. There was a free kick moment that I remember having where that sense of helplessness when the ball gets to the top of the box and you're looking there and the game is tied and you're thinking you've done just enough. If we just get through this moment, we give ourselves a chance. And as soon as he stepped up, I remember there's a camera angle where he steps up and you see the fans and it's from behind and he just looks up. And I love just the assuredness, the confidence. It's as if he had done that, and I'm sure he has. It's as if he was back on the training ground, back whether it's in Rosario or at Barcelona or in Paris or with the Argentinian national team at training, and just knows where the ball is going to go and how much power, how much bend, the technique. It's automatic. And for him to do that in his debut, fact for you, Lionel Messi has not always had the best of debuts.
Right.
Argentinian national team debut, got a red card.
Right.
Crazy. Some of his other debuts haven't been some of his most stellar performances. It's called a debut. So for him to be on this side of his career, 20 plus years being a professional footballer, and the whole world is watching, and make no mistake, the entire world is watching. Doesn't matter what time zone. Everyone was stopping to take in, what is this Messi fella doing in America? And is he going to retire? And Lionel Messi has said, nope, I'm going to make a statement in Major League Soccer, and not just in Major League Soccer, but against Liga MX teams and whoever decides to come to South Florida. That is game, set, match. That is the winning killer mentality that sets him apart.
Yeah, I mean, that goal for me, so I have so many memories of Messi. Like, my very first is when it was me and my old roommates. We were living in Washington, D.C., and it was the youth. That was the Youth World Cup. It might have been the U20 when the USA was playing, and it was like back. I think maybe Question was on that team, Michael Bradley, and no one had ever heard of Messi before. No one ever. He came on at halftime, and we were like, "Who in God's name is this guy? Like, this is unbelievable." And then it was like, "Oh, well, Barcelona owns them, but they hadn't really been paying him a whole lot of attention. They put him on the starting team right away, and the rest is history." That was one moment. The hat trick against Real Madrid, that chip he had when he played against Mexico, that like 30 yards where he hung the goalie, the goal against Manuel Neuer, the World Cup final. But for me, that goal, my Inter Miami debut, I mean, it's, for me, as an American fan and as an MLS fan, it's a top 5 Messi moment for me. Now, I know it doesn't have the same. I mean, there's almost thousands of moments you could pull from, but I just remember, like, I literally was almost in tears. I was just like, I said to my wife, I was like, if he scores this, I mean, it there was rumors that, did someone pay someone $1 million? Like, it was so cinematic that it was almost. It was just one of those, like, I will never forget that moment. And then, of course, he's just been crushing it. And I watched last night with my son, and my son's 7 years old. His jaw dropped when he hit that first goal. And it's just been unbelievable. I will ask you this one question, though, about it. So let's say a pendulum of 10 being like, this is the most epic start, as fantastic as it could possibly be for Messi to begin in MLS, and then 1 being, he might be making the MLS look maybe a teensy bit too easy. I'll give you my answer, is because last night was good. I thought it was a great game. It was a good game. The Cruz Azul game was great. Atlanta United game, I was almost like, I'm a little bit embarrassed. Like, I hope there aren't people because it looked like Atlanta United wasn't even trying or something. Did you have the same feelings?
Yeah, the teams that Lionel Messi and his team are beating, they're doing it because Lionel Messi has a bit between his teeth, and it's Lionel Messi. Sergio Busquets needs to be addressed as well. We're seeing how good this midfielder, and I think the greatest defensive midfielder we have ever seen play on a football field, how good he is. Now, look at the quality of opposition as well. Atlanta United in the table, they are not exactly the MLS world beaters. No. Orlando City, what they have been in recent years with Oscar Pereira, they are not the same team that they were last year that made the playoffs to win the U.S. Open Cup. There's been a lot of change in both of those teams, and a lot of uncertainty around some of their key players and big stars in terms of, are they going to move away to Europe? The Napoli, the Thiago Almada, what's next for him? That being said, you still have to put in the performances ahead of you. Now they get their biggest test yet with Lionel Messi. FC Dallas comes to town. Jesus Ferreira, FC Dallas. You have Sebastian Lletget. You have some MLS savvy players who also play internationally, who want to make a name for themselves. I think we'll see more that the further Inter Miami and Messi go into the Leagues Cup, we will get more of an answer. The biggest game that I see for them, yes, the Leagues Cup is going to be one thing. That's an instant hit, instant momentum builder. But that U.S. Open Cup semifinal against the best team in Major League Soccer, because it's not going to be in Miami. It'll be their first. It could be if they go and win the entire Leagues Cup, they could very well play in their backyard all the way through. It's just how sometimes the cookie crumbles. And hey, you take home field advantage. Now, when they go to Cincinnati, there will be Messi fans there, but there will be more people who want Messi to lose. And they have an Argentine playmaker in their own right, in Luciano Acosta.
He's a beast.
I think he has been the best player in Major League Soccer so far this season.
Yeah, he's debatably
doesn't
MVP,
get enough credit because Hani Mukhtar is doing what he's doing. Denny Bouanga is doing what he's doing. Their clubs, the history. FC Cincinnati, if you look at the stats, goal contributions, if you take Lucho Acosta out of that team, they are nowhere close to doing what they do. He is having the career season of a lifetime right now. that will tell me so much more about this Inter Miami team.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, I'm loving what I'm seeing. They are entertainers. It is what South Beach. It is just so South Beach. It is just
incredible.
so South Florida. You want to be entertained when you watch Messi, when you see this influx of stars. And like they say in Gladiator, are you not entertained? Well, are you not entertained?
No, that's right. I mean, I'm with you. I'm on that scale, I'm a 9.5. It's just that Atlanta game, I was kind of like, oh, like, is anyone even gonna try to take the ball from Busquets, like, at all? But anyway, but still, it's been mind-blowingly awesome. It's so great. I'm curious from you, as just a real MLS expert, what are 2 or 3 things that we keep hearing about the Messi effect, and what are some things that you're hoping Messi will change about the league, and with the owners, and how that's all set up? Like, what are you hoping comes out of this with him?
I think that what we're instantly seeing is when you have a global icon, it's not just a world-class player, but a global icon. And you saw that a bit with David Beckham, what he ushered. This does not happen unless David Beckham comes here first.
That's right.
So kudos to David Beckham. And when I look at Inter Miami, when I look at the ownership, yes, Jorge Mas gets a lot of airtime and FaceTime, but this is David Beckham's legacy being passed down to the next big icon and taking MLS one step further from the door that Beckham opened up. I mean, it was David Beckham that had the forethought and the foresight to we're talking about David Beckham and, Messi and what the Messi effect.
Yeah.
So as I get off my soapbox about David Beckham, because I'm a big David Beckham fan, if you didn't notice.
Yeah, me too. Love him.
But what I think the Messi effect really opens up is when you're Major League Soccer, and you see it with different leagues have to have something that attracts different global icons and different stars. The Premier League has the history. It has the TV money. It has the shiny thing. PSG, they have unlimited resources. We're seeing it with the Saudi Pro League is, hey, here's a blank check. So you, your family, your family's family, and your auntie and all your other aunties on your mom's side will never have to worry about money again. For MLS, you are selling the opportunity to leave a legacy of a lifetime. And when you're Lionel Messi, when you've won everything that you possibly can in the club level and at the international level, you need a new challenge. And for him, he chose the word legacy. And I think that was the biggest selling point for Major League Soccer. You've never seen anything like this done before. Kylian Mbappe, what he's getting for the Saudi Pro League, in terms of that offer, that is astronomical. But that is nothing in comparison to what Lionel Messi has the opportunity to do. Because in 3 years' time, the FIFA World Cup will be in the United States, Mexico, and Canada for the first time ever. The game was changed back in 1994 because FIFA was able to host a World Cup in this country and see the marketing potential, see stadiums unlike anything they'd seen before, see a fan base that was untapped and resources that were untapped into come to life in ways that it had never come, in ways that it hadn't come back to life since Pele, Beckenbauer, since the Cosmos were the Harlem Globetrotters of soccer before, back in the 70s and early 80s. So every sport has its evolution, and I think the Messi effect will be MLS's contribution to the world's game, or has the potential to be.
Yeah, and that's a cool point. The legacy versus, it's kind of legacy, legendary versus just endless money. And I'm hoping that the league owners will quickly change the DPs from 3 to 5. I hope they'll drastically increase the salary cap, because the thing with Messi is, like, he may not be here 5 years. I mean, it might just be 2 or 3, and we better strike now. The good thing is that we are seeing it. I mean, Busquets and Alba right away, Suarez debatably. Then you've got other teams, and then Facundo Farias. That's that's a Messi effect. Chucky Lozano is being rumored to LAFC, so I feel like you're seeing it happening. But I get it that they have to kind of keep it tight, but they got to start loosening it up a little bit, because this just opportunity won't come around again. So that's what I hope happens. I want to get your thoughts on one or two more quick things, but
Yeah.
the Saudi. So it's interesting. The Saudi League. How can we not talk about that? I mean, I not every morning I wake up. There's some. It's on the bottom of morning
Yeah.
footy. Some new player is going. It's getting ridiculous. And I remember there was at one point Don Garber was asked, "Are you threatened by the Saudi League?" Now it's like the heck with MLS. EPL should be threatened by the Saudi League. What I mean, this is such a broad question, but like, what do you make of all this? What are your thoughts on it? Where do you think this is going?
I think we're seeing a phenomenon in sports that we've never seen before. That I think we kind of got glimpses of with the Super League.
Yep.
Was it last year or the year before?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's the desire for money to be the ultimate ruler and decider in sports, and we're seeing a change in players and athletes. They view this as a business,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a generational shift. The access to information, the access to the realities of sports, and sports is the business number one. But there's something about sports. There is an altruism about sports, and for the soccer footballing purists, that if you have that purity about the game, then there's something that does not sit well with you. It does not sit well with me to see this over the night movement that is money driven and opportunity driven, and it's almost like looking into the souls of all these footballers and saying, what would you do for? Would you sell your soul or one part of your soul for money? And now it's so hard because none of us are being asked to move to Saudi Arabia and move for an opportunity of a lifetime. So you will never have to worry about money again. These are footballers who are making a lot of money, by the way.
Right.
They're not making chump change.
I know.
So that has to be addressed. But every footballer has their own decisions, and I'm intrigued to see what happens in the European game this season, because you will not have some of your players that were key contributors. Look at some like N'Golo Kante won man of the match in the UEFA Champions League. You saw the impact of Chelsea not having him.
Yeah.
You saw the missing link. This is a guy that was one of France's most integral players only a couple of years ago. And you're seeing this domino effect. But what I do like that isn't talked about enough as well in this transfer window, yes, what's happening with the Saudis, money is making an impact. We see it with Live Golf. Money is making an impact, and it's changing the game in sports. But what I do like is some players are making a different decisions. I applaud every single player that is making a decision to go back to their childhood or their storied boyhood club. I think of Angel Di Maria. There was talk about him potentially coming to Inter Miami, and that still happens. Maybe that's a waiting on the rule of expanding DPs or whatnot, because he's not going to come cheap. But for him to go back to Benfica, that says a lot. That gives me hope to see other players go back to some of the clubs where they started, or go to another opportunity where they could have easily taken the money and ran. I look at Manchester United and Andre Onana. Could have easily taken money. We'll see what happens with Romelu Lukaku. That's a player who was he has a story that is unfinished, from the World Cup to the Champions League final to what he did at Inter last year. And I would love for him to just prove the doubters wrong and give it one more go. You can always take the big money move, but give it one more go. You owe it to yourself. You don't owe it to any of us, but that question of what do you owe to yourself and what do you owe to your family and whatnot, everyone has their own decision. But as a soccer purist, I'm a little bit concerned with this over the night movement of just, hey, what's your price? What's your asking price to get you to move over here? We all have a price. And right now, the Saudis are definitely calling a lot of the numbers and a lot of the players around the world.
Well, I mean, a couple of comments there is back to the Messi thing. I was always, I mean, it really catapulted Messi to me because he kind of just at some point was like, I mean, how much money does one man need? I mean, anyone that's ever related to me 1,000 years from now is not going to have to worry about money. I mean, how much money do you need? I'm going to go where I want to play, where I'm happy, and where, you know, to your legacy point. And the other thing is, what's the price of your soul? Well, ask Jordan Henderson that question. I mean, again, hey, listen, I'm not judge whatever, but you know, he was. I know that a lot of people, particularly in the LGBTQ community, are fairly devastated because he was sort of their standard bearer, and all power to him for being such a great representative of that. So I'm not taking anything away, but there was a price. I mean, and he left, and so I just know that a lot of people are upset about that. And to your point, it is unearthing some. I mean, it's showing some ugly side of it, and it's you know, does feel like it's ripping the soul a little bit out, but you know, all power to them, and maybe it, you know, becomes a wonderful league, and hey, maybe even we get a thing going where some of those teams come over and play the MLS teams. I mean, hey, we're all for it.
I just want to add something to that. I think the one thing that I'm most intrigued about is not seeing Cristiano Ronaldo, is not seeing the possibility of Mbappe, which like that's a whole topic in itself. Right. Is not seeing some of these European names go there. I'm forever a fan of the grassroots of football. And if these stars go there and the quality of the domestic league impacts the Saudi domestic players who play for the national team, who help them build on the legacy that they have built and are leaving after that World Cup win against Argentina, if that is the fruit, and if that is what we see the domino effect leads to, then hey, I am for that. But if it's all about just the shiny new object, okay. But you could also argue that other leagues have done a lot of similar things, but we've never seen anything like this. We've seen that happen with the likes of PSG, just giving blank checks to players just to lure them to Liga. We've seen that in Man City, the financial breaches and all that stuff, and they have an issue. This guy, we need a striker. Blank check, Erling Haaland.
Yeah.
Best up and coming striker right now, next to Kylian Mbappe. Let's go buy him.
Right.
Okay, we need this. The football is just moving in a direction where there's just an exorbitant amount of money. And that is why I think at the end of the day, the best thing that can happen moving forward for football is for a team that has a grassroots focus. I look at what Arsenal are building. And I'm not an Arsenal fan, but for a team like that to win an English Premier League, to just shake things up. I think of clubs in the past in Serie A, to have AC Milan, to have Napoli win this past year. The ways that Napoli did, there's something romantic, there's something genuine about that as football fans, as soccer fans, we all want. And I think as American soccer fans, that taps into the American sports heart. We love the underdog, the underdog story. We love it so much more. Tom Brady is not Tom Brady if he's not the underdog from his inception.
That's right. That's a great point.
We love that, and I hope that there's still room for the underdog in world football.
That's a great point. And want to ask you one last thing before we jump into the fun rapid-fire questions. Is Americans on the move? Man, boy, I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm stressed. Like, essentially, I mean, almost our entire starting 11 is at critical points in their career, especially going into the next World Cup. I don't know if we have time to go through each and every one of them, but I will ask you, what are a few you're the most excited or happy about? What are some that you're going, this could be good, but I'm a little nervous? And what are a few that you're legitimately concerned about?
I'll go from some of the players that we're probably not thinking about and work our ways to some of the more marquee names just for time's sake. But I'm happy for Austin Trusty. To get a move, a lone move. He was always going to get a move, but to get a move to a team that's just on the rise right now, where
Yep.
he's going to get minutes, and it has that DNA and fabric of the level that he just was on loan to at Birmingham City in the championship. That's great. I look at what Chris Richards is doing with
Yep.
Crystal Palace.
Yep.
To have that sense of camaraderie within your league, it goes a long way. I've heard from former U.S. men's national team players who have been in Europe, and they say one of the hardest things when you get to a Premier League, when you get to a top league, is you realize how American you are. You are oftentimes one of one or one of two, and your closest ally and confidant is probably someone who plays it's on a different team than you because you play for the same national team. There's things culturally that you relate to, and the sense of burden of being a U.S. MNT player, you carry that sense of burden, and that can bond you. And then I go to a Brendan Aronson. I'm so happy for him to be in a league like the Bundesliga, to go on loan. I think that is a very good move for him because right now, the Americans are the scapegoats for what happens at Leeds. Amongst the fans, amongst the British media.
That's terrible.
Look, Brendan Aronson was not the reason why Patrick Bamford, who is getting away with murder, Patrick Bamford was not good.
Right.
Patrick Bamford has struggled with injuries, but he was a shadow of himself, missed chance after chance. Luke Ayling, captain, yes, but Luke Ayling scoring own goals, good on one end, not good one. I mean, you can go through the roster. It was a collective, shambolic thing that happened at Leeds, and hopefully they get that right. But Brendan Aronson going to a team like Union Berlin that likes young players.
And then in the Champions League, right?
In the Champions League, he is taking a step up.
Yep.
And the German Bundesliga is a league that is rewarding outside of Bayern Munich. You look at what Dortmund's doing. Gio Reyna being there is going to be a big thing. But the Bundesliga, the Leipzigs, these clubs, it's becoming a younger league than it ever was in the past. And then I go to the top of the pyramid. Timo Weah, I'm intrigued. I don't know what to think about that move to Juventus. One of the positions he did not like playing, and he didn't really thrive in as much for Lille, was wingback.
Right. Which is what
you go to Juventus under Max Allegri, you're playing wingback. Timo Weah, very good playing out wide, being more as an out winger. He showed it in the World Cup. Getting to the end line, whipping in crosses, being able to have that flexibility, playing closer to the striker. In that 3-5-2 system for Juventus, your job is to get up, but to also get back and whip in crosses. He's a good crosser of the ball. I'm intrigued to see what happens there because Juventus are not in a good way right now. A lot of issues with that club. And then the big name, the two big names, but the big name right now, Christian Pulisic. The move to AC Milan, that is something that I'm not sure how to feel about that.
Yeah.
He will play and he will get a lot of minutes, but he's going to an AC Milan team where the expectation is very, very high right now. They have who I think is one of the best young players in the world in Rafael Leao.
Oh, he's incredible.
Olivier Giroud.
Love him.
They have something going, and to come in and to replace Brahim Diaz, who in the last 2 seasons for Milan has been a bit of a revelation. It's a different sort of player profile. He is going to be playing with an added sense of pressure. Yes, new scenery, but he will have to hit the ground running and running fast in Milan because Serie A fans and Milan fans, when you're the outsider coming in, you have to hit the ground running because those whistles can come fast. And now you're playing with a new sense of burden of, oh, I left Chelsea and now I feel burdened. But if he hits, the grass can be greener on the other side, and sometimes the grass is not. So that is the player I'm keeping an eye on, and that is the move. And last but not least, Flo Balogun.
Yeah.
Please, Arsenal, let him go. Let him go where he's going to get minutes. I would love to see him at Inter Milan.
I would love that.
I like the possibility of that. No Lukaku, Lautaro Martinez. There's really good chance that Inter are in need of a striker.
Yep.
Right now, they're looking. Really, one of the players that you'll be going up against is
Morata.
Thuram,
Yep.
but also Joaquin Correa.
Yep.
I think that because Simone Inzaghi, he rotates his strikers, and Lautaro Martinez is the one who plays a lot of minutes. But whether in Champions League, Coppa Italia, Serie A, you will get minutes as a striker. All the other positions are pretty set, but he likes to keep his strikers fresh so they can do the defensive work and counter. So I think Flo Balogun, that is the biggest one that I'm intrigued by the most this summer.
Yeah, those are all good. And I know the reason I mentioned Morata is because I know Inter was looking at him as well as maybe an alternative to Balogun. I hope it's Balogun. I'm with you. So like Pulisic to AC Milan. AC Milan is like one of my all-time favorite childhood teams, but to me, they're like a top, like one of the biggest names in the world, like of history of soccer. And if he makes it and makes it big there, that could not be a bigger deal. But the stakes are massive. And I just look at players like, who was probably one of our best players in the last World Cup was Tim Ream. And it's because he gets consistent minutes with Fulham. And so when I see, Tyler Adams, there's been rumors here lately that Aston Villa's getting close. Like, that could be a great spot for him. Your point about Aronson to Union Berlin, that's perfect. I just think that, when I'm excited about Balogun and Tim Weah and Pulisic, but Juventus, Inter, and AC Milan, like, there is no second. I mean, you better crush it, or you're forgotten, and it could be another Chelsea situation all over again. And I just feel like we need McKennie, Balogun, Musa, Adams, Aronson, Reyna. We need these guys playing regular minutes. Wherever they got to do it, they got to play regular minutes for a couple years going in, because this is as big as it's going to get with the World Cup being on our soil. We got to do it. And it's just critical that these players find the right homes. Well, here, let's jump into the rapid fire, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we ask everyone this, and it's just the fun, age old. So, right off the top, Ronaldo or Messi?
I used to be Ronaldo, but after some recent comments, I'm Team Messi.
It's so funny you say that, because if you listen to older episodes, I used to say Ronaldo, because I grew up a diehard Man U fan, and when he was at Man U, that was almost like the peak of anyone I've ever seen, the Man U Ronaldo. And I still hold a special place in my heart for Ronaldo, but like what Messi's done coming to MLS lately and everything, I think I'm kind of with you on that one. Messi or Maradona?
Ooh. I never got the chance to see Maradona play at this peak of his powers. I go Maradona.
Nice.
I'm going to be controversial. I think Diego Maradona, what Maradona did for his country, there's a reason why he's almost deity status there.
Yeah, he is.
The legacy that he has left, and he was a tragic hero.
Yes.
He tragic hero, but there was something about his mentality where I think you saw it unleash and unearth. And him and Messi are two different sort of personalities.
Got him right
but here. He was willing to do whatever it took to fight for something for himself. And what he did for Napoli, that is, I can't even put it into words. And we see what it means. But he is someone who is a fighter, who is a leader of people. He's the leader of a movement. And so I give him the slider edge in that category.
I love it. So Ronaldo or Ronaldo? So Cristiano or Il Fenomeno?
The Il Fenomeno.
Nice.
That's my guy. I grew up watching him. Injuries.
Yeah.
Was that curtailed his career in ways, but the generation that he played in, I think was such a unique generation where the defenders that he was making look silly. We haven't seen defenders of that caliber throughout the world.
Right.
I think that's what made that generation. You saw midfielders and defenders throughout the world that he was making look silly on a weekly, regular basis. And I think that just special, natural, raw talent.
Yeah, I love it. So Donovan or Dempsey?
The deuce. The deuce is loose.
Nice. Love it.
If Landon ever sees this, sorry, man. But what Clint Dempsey proved, I like the fact that he went to Europe and he was able to prove it there. That he's a fighter. He was able to survive manager after manager and still was able to thrive and come to Major League Soccer. Still got his MLS Cup.
Yep.
Although it was towards the end, still got that MLS Cup, that elusive MLS Cup trophy. but still was able to win in different places and was part of a Fulham team that I think made it to a European final.
Yep.
So
Oh yeah,
that goes a long way, and very different players. Kind of are they a forward? Are they a midfielder?
Mm-hmm.
Similar in that, right? But just had that mental edge that I like.
Yeah. Apropos to the name of the show, who's your favorite center mid of all time?
Ooh, favorite center midfielder of all time, Andres Iniesta.
Oh, nice. I tell you, one of the cool things about doing this show is I'm keeping a running tally over all these things to end some debates. I tell you, Iniesta he might be the front runner right now, honestly, on that
Really?
answer. Interestingly, he's up there. Get a lot of Zidans, of course.
Yeah.
A couple Ronaldinhos. Cantona, I was kind of but anyway. But yours is a popular one. That's a really good one.
Andres Iniesta. What you took for granted at times seeing for Barcelona, because so much emphasis was put on Messi, rightfully so. You got to see with the Spanish national team 2012.
Yeah.
What he did at that Euros.
Man.
And his last season and a half at Barcelona, when he knew it was towards the end, the movement of the assist he had, I don't know if it was a Neymar goal, may have been a Neymar goal, but Champions League, PSG, ball comes, and in his mid-30s, not mind you, or maybe early 30s, just winds back the clock, drops the shoulder, and watching him, it's effortless, it's poetry in motion. Similar attributes you hear is in Zinedine Zidane, but there's something that you just can't hate about Iniesta. He's one of the gentlemen of the game.
Yep.
And I love people and ambassadors for the game who are the gentlemen of the game. Another midfielder, Clarence Seedorf, kind of has that gentleman of the game sort of status, but Andres Iniesta, just absolute magician.
Love it. Who is the best player you've ever played with or against?
Best player ever played against has to be Thierry Henry.
Wow. That's
played against him in Major League Soccer, and there was a moment that you recognize his brilliance, his killer instinct, and when he just wanted to humiliate you. he's very Parisian, has that French.
Sure, yeah.
And I remember being on the field with him where he was going in on goal, and he knew he could have just destroyed me. He knew he could have scored. Instead of taking a ball out of the air and volleying it, he takes the ball out of the air and starts juggling it away from the goal.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you feel so vulnerable in that moment because you're thinking to yourself, why is he not scoring? Why am I not on SportsCenter for all the wrong reasons?
Right.
And then you see a rhythm and a tempo of now he switched on. Now he wants to go at you. And he is a player who I think was robbed of the Ballon d'Or.
Yes.
How he never won one.
I know.
It's something that needs to go back and be rescinded in time.
No, I totally agree with you. He's one of my all-time. Frank, I was kind of rooting for him to be the next U.S. men's coach, but that's neither here nor there. All right, so the favorite time to name your perfect 11.
Oh man, I'm so quick to jump on other people's perfect 11, but I will go in goal, Gigi Buffon. Happy retirement to you, Gigi, but I think change the position, the longevity, good PK shot stopper. Well, actually, no, he wasn't as good on penalty kicks, but made me believe he is. But just good in so many facets of the game. It's left back. I will go Roberto Carlos in his prime, untouchable free kick specialist. Center back Maldini. Center back as well. I will go Franz Beckenbauer.
Nice.
Just passer out of the back, can step in the midfield as we've seen the modern game do. Right back. Oof. It's always been a tough one.
That's tough.
Right back, I love my Brazilians. I'm going to go Cafu. Cafu up and down, can do it for 90 minutes. Defensive midfielder. It's a tie between Sergio Busquets
Ooh,
and Andrea Pirlo.
nice.
I love having a metronome. And then I go two attacking midfielders, Andres Iniesta and
Nice.
Diego Maradona.
Nice.
And then I play Zinedine Zidane.
Hmm.
Man, this is
I know. Brutal.
oh man. So I'm gonna backtrack. I'm gonna go my front three. I'm gonna go Ronaldo,
Hmm.
Pele, and Messi,
Nice.
and the original Ronaldo.
Yeah.
And Cristiano's first one off the bench for me. I know, going to be very controversial.
Sure.
And I'm going to go with a midfield of Iniesta, Maradona, and Zidane.
Love it.
Defense optional.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. That's a killer one. So, in the last question, what's your favorite jersey of all time?
Ooh. I'm going to go 2002 U.S. Men's National Team
Nice.
World Cup,
Love it.
because that impacted me, my generation, impacted Major League Soccer, impacted so much that we see. But that's an iconic jersey that's seared in my brain and in my memory.
I love it.
What about you?
I think I have so many. If I, gun to my head, I think I'm gonna have to go the iconic Germany.
Yeah.
The iconic. That's definitely, yeah, that's probably my number one. Number two is probably the retro Lazio with the eagle.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That's
I
a great
love that one. I also loved the Holland. God, what is it, like 88? The Van Basten. That's probably number three. Those are probably my top three right there.
Yeah.
But well, Michael, this has been an honor and a pleasure. I can't thank you enough. Put in a good word for me at Paramount Plus. I'm kidding. No, but tell all of them I'm a huge fan. I keep doing awesome stuff. Let's keep in touch, man. I'm rooting for you, and would love to have you on some other time if you're ever willing.
Yeah.
But this has just been beyond my wildest expectations. My kids and I watch you almost all the time that you're on. They were blown away that you were even going to come on. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for having me on. As I said before, yes, I would love to come on again.
Thanks,
and
man.
I will definitely be passing on just this opportunity and the sentiment philosopher.
Thank you
To the Golazo Network cast, and just let people know one of the best pieces of advice and things that a mentor and a coach said to me was pay it forward. Because you never know when you are going to be that person who is in that moment of really growing something. And so keep doing this, because you never know where this leads. You never know who's watching. You never know who comes on. And with the World Cup in mind, I love this, because this was not happening 4 years ago.
No,
definitely not 4 years ago, because we didn't make the World Cup.
Right.
So to see things like this, to see Greensboro, North Carolina, the Carolina Dynamo, that gives me continued hope and confidence that the game is growing in ways that it needs to be, a light needs to be shined on. So thank you for doing what you do.
No, thank you, man.
I'm a big fan.
I would do it in the dark with no one watching. I would do it for fun, because it's just my love. I have always loved. I played growing up 6 days a week my entire life.
Oh, that's awesome.
Played ODP and played with a bunch of guys that played in the MLS, and so this is my true love, and it's just been a real honor, and thank you so much, and I really appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
You're
welcome.
All right, see you, man. Thank you. See ya. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.